Let's talk more about Monday's national shutdown by the EFF. We're joined by Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshaveni, who was part of a post-cabinet briefing today where she said that contingency measures are in place to respond to any emergency situations, including potential disruption of public services. A very good evening to you, Minister. Grateful for your time. So the EFF has led marches in this country in the past over its 10-year existence. Why is there so much alarm this time round?
Thanks, Tembekile, and good evening to your viewers, and thank you for having me. I don't think there is alarm on this time around. There's no alarm at all.
Well, there appears to be alarm because nowhere in previous marches that they've led where we've heard Cabinet talking about its readiness, for example, to respond. We have not seen in the past as many people posting about how worried they are for the safety of their businesses, will they be able to get to work, etc. That indicates alarm, does it not?
No, it doesn't. South Africans have a right to be anxious when they know the history of the EFF, that they behave like hooligans in all intents and purposes. It's through the EFF that you have had the looting and the vandalization of stalls of ordinary informal businesses. Their character is known. Their hooliganism also extends to Parliament. So South Africans have to be worried. And therefore, if South Africans are worried, and even when law enforcement have enough plans and contingency measures in place to deal with any drama the EFF may try to pull in the country, we had to come and speak to the society and the community at large and say to them, look, we are going to be safe. You don't have to be alarmed. The police are ready. And remember, this protest action comes after the South Africans have experienced the 2021 July unrest, and they will not want a repeat. So they will be worried, and they needed the government voice to come in. That's why ministers of the JCPS cluster or Justice and Crime Prevention cluster, we came out to explain that do not worry, we have plans in place. And that's why the EFF themselves are toning down. Initially, they were saying they're going to go fill up FNB and all those things. And the residents of Soweto said, not in our township, not in our town, not in our neighborhood. They said they're going to do whatever. The taxi association said, we are not going to join, and please give us our space because we don't want to deal with that consequences. The bus association came and said that. The trucking association came and said they are not going to join. Many associations have come through and said they are not going to join because they know the implications. They know that there is no basis for the grievance. And marching about load shedding, it will not end load shedding tomorrow. What will end load shedding is the actions that the president have announced that are being taken, which Minister Ramaphosa has announced that he is peaceful to resolve load shedding. And this is time of electioneering. So it's political adversarism at its best, and the EFF is trying to garner votes. And that's why we're very resolved and say there's not going to be regime change in South Africa through unconstitutional means. If the EFF thinks they are popular, they must then contest elections next year and then contest the ANC in the elections.
The point I was making, and we'll get to some of the other issues you're just now raising, is that they have led other demonstrations in the past which have gone off without major incident. Are you more worried, more alert this time round because there was a call by the party for business people not to trade on the day? Is that what's got you perhaps more alert, so to speak?
It's not only about saying businesses must not trade. They've been inciting violence in terms of their promotion of their marches, of their protest action. They've been intimidating people. They've been demonstrating firearms or automatic rifles, which they're not allowed to have. And as law enforcement, we had to sit down and assess. And that's why I remember the call was made in January, but we kept quiet as government and said, let's see how this thing materializes. And we realized that it's political adventurism because then they come around and say, no, schools must be shut down on the 20th. We're giving you notice. We're giving government notice. 7 days. You are left with 2 days to announce the school closure. In March 2022, the Minister of Basic Education gazetted that the 20th of March 2023 is a special school holiday because of the 21st March holiday that comes on a Tuesday after. So so that's why we saw that this intimidation of society cannot continue. We must speak and we must put plans to deal with them. And I do not know whether what you talk about their marches that they've led previously that have gone off well. They've never gone off well. There's always been casualties. The police have just been there to respond and to curtail the damage. But when they incite violence and intimidate business and say there's not people, international visitors must not come to South Africa because it's going to be ungovernable. That is not a threat that we must take lightly. We must sit and wait for them. We're not going to do that. We're going to respond to them and we're going to deal with them. And anyone who wants to join them, we're going to deal with them.
So yesterday then, when he spoke, the party leader, Julius Malema, said this will be a peaceful demonstration and that the party itself would not tolerate any acts of violence or criminality. Do you, as government, take that reassurance to heart?
If I was not in your platform, I'll say if there's somebody who suffers bipolarism and without any offense to the people who are real sufferers of the disease of being bipolar, Julius Malema is very unreliable in what he says. He says left and he says right, and you cannot rely on his word. You can't take his word for it. So you have to then be prepared for what his people are saying, what his followers are saying. You have to then respond to that and be ready for that, and we are ready for that.
You've used regime change again in our conversation today. It came up again in the address at the post-cabinet briefing this morning. Are you suggesting, are you as government saying that what is going to happen on Monday is basically an attempt to topple the government?
I understand Mr. Malema himself, when he was asked what will be next after the 20th, he says, we'll see what the communities, what the citizens can do. To say, therefore, and also of all their demands, the most important of their demands is the resignation of President Ramaphosa, and they're not going to see that. President Ramaphosa, if he has to be removed as president, you'll have to go to the elections in 2024, contest the governing party, which is the ANC, and defeat them. And if you are sure that you're going to defeat the ANC, because the ANC is hard at work, but where we are sitting is that there's no basis for any other demand. Whatever the demand it is, the government has put plans in place. The president reconfigured his cabinet to make sure that there are responses to the challenges at hand. And he has instructed us very clearly on what needs to be done. And for that, you should know that the only thing that we cannot address except waiting for the 2024 general elections is the change of government. And we're saying there will not be a change of government. They attempted that. They said he will not address parliament because they don't recognize him as president. He addressed parliament because he is the president and elected president of this Republic of South Africa. And we're saying to the EFF again, we're saying to Mr. Malema, the elections to change a government will be contested in 2024. Ready your party to contest the governing party and meet Fikile Mbalula in that contestation. And you are going to be with the face of President Ramaphosa in that ballot when we vote in 2024.
Do you have actual intelligence, though, that suggests that there is a plan in this country at the moment to unseat this government through undemocratic means?
It's a national security matter. I will not comment on that one.
But it's in the public interest that we know if there is such a plan, because these situations will affect everyone if that indeed was the plan. What does the intelligence available to you say? Does it say there's a plan to unseat the government or not?
The necessary intelligence has been provided to the police, who are responsible for keeping law and order in the Republic. And
does it say there will be chaos, anarchy, and the unseating or an attempt to remove a government?
It says law enforcement machinery must be ready to make sure the country is safe, is stable, there's no anarchy, there's no lawlessness, and everyone who tries that should be met by the full might of the law.
And if there was a groundswell, so to speak, of the call for this government to step down, would that be a call that the president and the broader government, which you are part of, would heed?
In terms of the Constitution of the Republic, you want a change of government, you must do two things. You either wait for the elections, which are coming next year, or you must go to Parliament and pass a motion of no confidence in the governing party and remove the governing party and call for an election. The Constitution provides a mechanism of dissolving government, and those are the things that will be accepted. But there's not going to be an uprising that will remove a government in South Africa. When we fought for the freedom, and when our forebears fought for the freedom of this country, they avoided bloodshed so that we do not destroy this country. Go to all the countries that have had the uprising. Libya today has not recovered, and it was a mighty economic giant in this continent. It has not recovered. All the countries that have gone through regime change through unconstitutional means have not recovered. Iraq, Iran, I can count a number of them, and we will not allow it for the citizens of South Africa. It won't happen. An unconstitutional regime change won't happen. We're going to go to elections. We're going to wait for the next, it's 14 months left to the elections. Why is the impatience? Wait for the elections and vote for whoever you want to vote for, and see if there is any other difference that you can hear. But we are confident as a governing party, as the ANC-led government, that we have done enough to make sure that we'll be revoted, and we'll continue to work to make sure we address the challenges facing South Africans to make sure we remain in power. We have done that in the last 5 administration. The 6th administration will never again an ANC victory.
How has the ANC government done enough to ensure victory in the 2024 election when you consider that almost half of the population in this country is sitting without employment? We are sitting in a state of crisis where there are daily power cuts in South Africa, which you are leading. Sometimes people are without electricity for 6 to 8 hours. Women in this country feel, they say, more unsafe than they've ever felt, because even your own stats say that they're likely to be assaulted even in their homes and by people they know. And all of that has led to this campaign, right or wrong, by the EFF resonating with the public to an extent. So can you really say that your failures have not contributed to this moment?
Let me start at the end. The people are saying we are not going to be party to that, and that's what the statements that are coming out, that's why the committees are saying not in our name. Secondly, the last issue raised about gender-based violence in this country. Of course, it's a challenge and the sketch that we're faced with. And what I like about what you said is that they are being raped by the people that they know. And we have said the fight against gender-based violence is not a fight of government. It's a fight of all of us, the community, the families, and the friends involved. Because all of us, when I'm a woman and I'm battered in my family by my husband or my partner, the family knows and the family can do something. It's the community and the societal issue. We cannot sit back and say government must resolve. Government is not there in the household. The police are not there. They only come as reactive. And to deal with gender-based violence, you must deal with it proactively so that those who are likely to be victims are protected.
Minister,
and that requires family. I gave you time to ask a long question. I give you time to speak. It needs a family, the community, to take a plan, including going to law enforcement, including law enforcement refusing to withdraw cases that are open, to withdraw protection orders that are put by women. But most importantly, it means women must be empowered to make sure that they do not stay in relationships on the basis of that they need to sustain their livelihood. And on the second issue that you raised around economic unemployment, it's a phenomenal facing majority of the country that we are facing.
Are you still with us, ma'am?
Our environment is not very ideal. But where we are, what I'm saying is that the economic challenges we are facing is as a result of COVID-19. It's as a result of also the load shedding that we have had in the country. But the load shedding and the Ukraine-Russia war and the load shedding that we have in the country is not unique to this country. We have gone to stage 6 and have 6 hours of blackout. We have not had 8 hours of blackout. Today, and President Ramaphosa clarified it. When we were with President Hassan of Tanzania, we had load shedding at the Union Building. And the president was explaining to the president of Tanzania. And the president of Tanzania says, no, it's a phenomenon that is facing all of us, contracting everybody. Even in the USA, that you deem as the most successful country, they have load shedding. But the challenge is, what are we doing about it? And if you have seen the actions the president has done to take and address load shedding decisively, you must judge us on that measures. Minister Ramaphosa has indicated during the press briefing, will in the next few weeks articulate the plans to address load shedding in this country and put the targets that we are going to be chasing. And we have indicated today that the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment has given an exemption to Eskom to allow them to fix Kusile so that Kusile may be able to come back on stream generation capacity of 2,100 megawatts power of electricity that will be available from November, December this year, reducing then the load shedding by 2 levels. And we have insisted as government that our target is that Eskom must stay at a maximum stage 4 at West and stage 3 under the current conditions. And we try to put every measure in place to make sure we reach those targets. And where we are, we have committed to address load shedding. Okay. We have committed to deal with youth unemployment, gender-based violence, and judge us on that. Let the electorate judge us on that when we go to the vote.
But this government was committed to dealing with load shedding when it started in the late 2000s, around 2007, 2008. when you talk about the economic factors and the global implications, yes, that is all well appreciated, but it is this government which people have elected. It is this government that has promised to better economic prospects, job opportunities in this country over various years, even before the Ukraine invasion, because unemployment was already above 30% before Russia invaded Ukraine. It is in this country, under the government which you are part of, that women say when they get to police stations, they're faced by officers who don't know, in some cases, how to take down a competent statement. They say when they get there, sometimes they're turned back because you're told to go resolve the issue with your intimate partner rather than actually having it go all the way to court. And I say that to come to this point, that there is a genuine loss of faith in the government's ability to respond to these things. What's going to make the commitments made in this year's SONA any different from previous ones that have been unmet on the respective issues?
I think I like how you're phrasing the question. And let me clarify. The challenge of taking affidavits by the police officers have been resolved. What the statistics are telling us now is that majority of women who come and open cases, they are withdrawing the charges, they are withdrawing the protection orders. And that's what we need to face and deal with as families, as communities. And that's the partnership that we, as government, we seek to make with communities, and that's why the fight against gender-based violence is dealt with in that level. And you are not correct in terms of the unemployment. There was a time we were succeeding to deal with unemployment, but unfortunately the global conditions changed, and we have no control. We have no control on COVID-19. We had no control on the Russia-Ukraine war. We have no control absolutely as a government. And these challenges are not unique to this country, and we continue to resolve them. And we are saying to you, we've had the SONA just took place on the 9th of February. Will give us the time to take the decisions that we have to take to implement the measures we have committed to do and judge us. Why is it so difficult to give us the time? We're not saying to South Africans, we're acknowledging, and we're the first ones to acknowledge that between 2000 and the time that you mentioned, we had difficulties in our own party. We had and we have resolved the difficulties. We have worked to be where we are as a party, to be united, to deal with this. And as a government, we're very clear on the mandate. We have dealt with the challenges that led to where we are from the fourth administration, and we have progressively addressed those. We accept that the challenges, we have not addressed all the challenges because they could never be addressed overnight. It requires time, and we are, and the sixth administration saying you've lost 2 years in COVID-19. Now we have the Russia-Ukraine war, where we are sitting, we're saying, give us the opportunity and see us not only in the ballot, see us in the progress. I'm the spokesperson of Cabinet, and I'll continue to be available to engage with you. We have targets in the quarter. You've got our performance scorecard. We've said, the president has set timelines to say by when certain things must be done. Call me back and let's have a conversation. Say, yeah, be a president committed to this. You guys have sailed on this, and let's have that engagement. But you can't just say, when the president has reconfigured cabinet, when the president has appointed new ministers in various responsibilities, and you say no, we don't trust you. Allow South Africans. We have continued to engage with them, and the feedback we're having, by the way, when we have engagements with the communities, community leaders, in our various approaches that we do, both as a government and also as a ruling party or a governing party. The feedback is to say, Mr. President, we're giving you an opportunity to resolve the ANC, we're giving you an opportunity to resolve the service delivery challenges, and we're going to see you in the ballot if you do not. And that's what we're saying. We appreciate the opportunities granted by South Africans to resolve the challenges that our country is faced with. And where there are difficulties, we'll go back and engage with that. And to show that there is improvement and there is an acknowledgement of the improvement. Business Unity South Africa has just donated 100 million to make sure that we can then deal with the challenges of load shedding, to support the office of Minister Ramokgopa. The investments continue to flow in the country because we have confronted the issues of load shedding, and we have said, we have this challenge of load shedding, but these are the things you can do to address load shedding. And that's why even in the cabinet statement, we announced the signing of an agreement between Stellantis and GTIC and IDC on the manufacturing of vehicles in this country by Stellantis. And those things show that there is confidence in the work that this government is doing. And we should not be pessimistic on behalf of our people. Allow our people to judge, allow our people to speak. They have mechanisms to speak, and their best voice is the vote in next year, 2024 general elections.
Which has been on the decline, as you yourself will admit, through successive elections in recent times. Experience has also been the greatest teacher for many South Africans. It's hard, you must admit, though, Minister, for people to take you at your word when multiple ANC presidents have come and gone, reshuffled cabinets, reconfigured them multiple times, yet problems that are 10, 15, 20 years old still persist. Are you able to at least grant the public that they are rightfully frustrated and their patience is quite understandably beginning to wear thin? How many chances does one party need until all of this is finally addressed?
Political parties in their natures are meant to fight for political power, and the parties will want all the chances they get, and their actions will tell you whether you vote for them or you do not vote for them. We have noticed the decline ourselves, and we've committed to work to make sure we remain in power. I could not be standing here confidently saying that we are going to win elections, we are going to deliver service to our people. We completely understand the frustrations of our people. We are the first ones to go to acknowledge to the people to say, we have failed you, we were wrong, we were too slow, we have made mistakes, and what are the lessons that we have learned, and these are the improvements we are going to do. We are the only ones who have said, this is the alternative plan we are putting on the table. Everybody, you can even go to the ones who want to do a process march. Their plans are plans of the ANC. And we have said we know what our weaknesses are, and we are going to work on them. I don't think at my age, I'll stand here and say I want to lose political power. It's not going to happen. I don't want to lose political power, and I'm going to work, and my colleagues in cabinet and the administration in totality are going to work to make sure that we win election. And the ruling party has given us a clear mandate to say, you guys must deliver. If you don't deliver, we're going to recall you. The Secretary General of the governing party has spoken in public platform, addressed the media to say we are going to work to make sure that we hold those who have deployed either as a national government, provincial government, or local municipalities to make sure that they deliver services to our people. Otherwise, we are going to remove them because it's not like the ANC is short of skills and depth. But where we are going to work, and what we have committed to do, and I've offered myself, the president, with quarterly targets. We are going to table them in parliament. You are going to have access to them. Let's engage every quarter and say what is the progress that is being made. And the progress is not going to be fudged by Khumbudzo. The progress, again, is reported in parliament. The Auditor General comes through.
Minister Khumbudzo Ntshaveni, I'm sure you and I will speak again next week and in the next coming quarters. For now, thank you very much for being on News of Prime. Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshaveni.